still remember when I got my first dream bike, an Indian called a bullet, a dream it was to sight. Had a 500cc motor and a good old steel bars. The electrics were not crush hard, but it ran well with the cars. I first rode the local paddocks to get the hang of things, then ventured on to tarmac to stretch its outer wings. While out one day and cruising at its best, a siren came far from behind, put a pounding in my chest. I was out cruising on hot summer's day, flat out in fear as the tackle needles sway, side piper scraping as the tail slides through the bends. My adrenaline pumping, I'm running hard with my friends. I pulled across to the roadside curve. I knew I was in trouble. The local copper wasn't friggin' about and had written out my summons. He asked me for my license, which of course he knew was none. Got a trip back to the local slumber and a bullet left in the sun. So now these days are gone, I have a new EFI 27 horsepower top and a smile which lights the sky. I can press or kick the starter and it never lets me down. My good Royal Enfield Classic is by far the best in town. Ooh, I was out cruising on a hot summer's day, flat out in fear as the tackle needles sway, side pipe scraping as the tail slide through the bends. My adrenaline pumping, I'm running hard with my friends.
I bought this 018 plated gunmetal grey C5 about 3 days ago from the Wollongong, New South Wales dealer in Australia. So I've travelled now around 212 kilometres or 130 mile, and I'm going to perform the first oil change on it. So this is a bike, when I buy them I usually look at them, but for a change I've decided to ride them. So we'll be able to go through the process of this oil change on the bike. I've done a few of them. This is the way when I do ride them I go about giving the oil change. Usually I might give them 2 or 3 in the first 500 kilometres, depends if I ride them or not. In this case I was keen to ride this bike because it was the one with the new Thunderbird type swing arm. So and the ABS system. I've been waiting for this bike to come in now for quite a while, and so far it appears to be a good bike to ride, and if they're a good bike to ride I don't mind riding them, and so far it appears to be a good bike to ride. So you know, when they're a good bike you don't mind getting on them. So we'll go through the process I always use and we'll go from there. Prior to the oil change, this gives us a good idea where the level of the oil is. So we've got a good idea how much is in it. There's your top level, and the oil sitting just about level with it. When you do an oil change on the C5, it's not that hard. It's a bit time consuming, but it's pretty easy to do. You only need sort of 3 tools, 19mm ring spanner, so that'll be to get the main sump plug off. Then you'll go to the 12mm socket, That'll be for your C5s, the later model, which has got the plug at the front. And then you'll go to an 8mm socket for the other screen system, and the try one with the oil filter at the side. So we'll go through that side of it. So overall, I suppose it takes about somewhere around about 30 minutes to do the complete oil change and oil and filter change, and once you do it a few times it's fairly easy, a bit time consuming. But so once we get under the bike, like I said, this is the latest model C5, so it's a bit different under here. So once under the bike, we have the main sump plug. So this one here to undo, 19mm socket, it will pull towards the front wheel to undo it. Then you go to the front here on this one, 12mm, also pulls towards the front wheel. Some of the early model C5s didn't have this one. From about, I don't know, around 14 onwards or something like that, they came in. 13, 14, earlier models around 9 and 10 I think didn't have it. And then this green 8mm socket, and to undo those you'll turn it towards the back wheel. This one here on this bike is the master cylinder now for the braking system. So they're all fairly simple to get off. The main thing is I don't use a torque wrench on any of these when I just tighten them up, so I don't snap them, especially these ones. These are really touchy ones, so just finger tighten them up and then just tighten them a little bit after that to spec, and then come back and check them later after you take the bike for a run. So back around here, the same again. You've got the three here. You have to be a little bit careful with these ones. The main thing, most of it will be hot, so you'll be using gloves and naturally using finger pressure here to hold it on tight. Then release it. But there's another video following a bit after this one that should give you an idea how that goes. Now while you're at it, you're probably wondering, why would he bother changing the oil on a motorcycle? It's only done 200 kilometres, 130 mile, when it's going to get an oil change at 500 kilometres anyway. Well, I suppose the main reason, because it's a Royal Enfield, and although I never mentioned earlier, over the past 5 years, these Royal Enfields I've had about, this one's, I've had about 11 of them now, all new ones, and I think this is about number 9 in a C5, and then I've had a B5 and a Continental GT. But over the years I've been buying them, over the past 5 years, have improved. So the early models, they were fair shit heaps, and the idea was, like a smart idea, when you buy a new one, do 2 or 3 oil changes before it even gets back to the dealer, and get the rubbish out of the motor. So if you do it at 100 miles, drop the oil. In the early days they used to be contaminated with all sorts of rubbish you'd pull out of the motor at 100 mile or 50 mile, and then at 100, and then something like that, and try to clean the junk out of it when you're riding it. The last bike I had, when I cleaned it out, a couple of oil changes or something like that, the oil came out pretty good. So this one, I expect hopefully it'll come out the same. And in the earlier days you used to have the magnets on the main sump plug and the on both the sump plug and the screen plug, and the gore screen inside there used to be just full of rubbish when you pulled them out, and it might be like that for the first 4 or 5 changes, and other shit had come out of it when you were doing it too. So it was wise in the earlier days to get there, drop the oil yourself and clean the junk out of it, rather than have it tossed around the motor for a few hundred kilometres, when you could get rid of it for the cost of 20 or 30 bucks yourself, and for a bit of peace of mind. So that's the idea, and for my case I can do an oil and filter change for $30, and like I said, I'll do one now I'd probably do one another couple hundred or something like that. And between now and 3,000 kilometres I might do it 3 or 4 times, and yeah, I think it's a good investment long term, and you got a nice clean motor and oil change is cheap, and I think it's good insurance. So that is a reason why, with the experience I've had with these motors, to get in there and get in there and do it. And for the cost of the oil and filter, it's really nothing, and I think it's good insurance. Well, appears to be a bit of metal on that and a bit of rubbish in the screen. Yeah, so overall a little bit of metal filings you see on these two magnets isn't too bad really, because although there's a little bit on it, it's nothing compared to the old days when you used to see them come out looking like old Ernie on Sesame Street. So you know, like used to see him come out like a big blob sitting on this one here and over here on that one. So, and this one here covered in total rubbish, like some sort of material they stick in the motor or they forget to do, whatever it is, but just stuffed up all in amongst it. But I'll just clean these up and they'll be ready to go back in, and then we'll get to the other parts. I always use Penrod HPR Chcnge 10W50 for the oil change. Here's this green one. Bit of oil around this one. The screen's now clean. It's had a lot of lint type stuff in it. I'd say when the workers are assembling the motor, it gets caught in their gloves and something like that, and then picked up with the motor once you start kicking it over and riding it, because it was just sort of on the outside of the screen itself, and just a few specks in there, but it looked like cotton type material on the outside of the screen. So I would say it's from the handle of the gloves when they're reassembling the motor. Anyway, back in it goes. rubber seal there. Yep. And we've got one rubber seal in front of the oil filter, and there's another rubber seal right behind the oil filter. Look at that rubber seal. Rubber seal out. Filter out. And there's still one rubber seal, you probably can't see it, it's right up near the back, so when you're assembling, one rubber seal right at the back, oil filter, one rubber seal which actually sits up like so, then your main rubber seal back on the thing, press it all back into the slot, apply the pressure and then press hard, apply all three of the screws in to take up the pressure evenly, and then you can relax and then tighten up all three a little bit at a time. This could be a bit tricky, but we'll see how we go. Okay, looking back up here in the oil filter, we see we've got the rubber seal in position, right up in there. The oil filter has been soaked, goes up in the slot, like so. I will pre-oil this here, what I've cleaned up earlier on, so I'll get a better seal. Out of the way. Meanwhile, try to fit a pair of gloves to get a bit of grip on this housing. And I think that will get us on target, like so. Bring this up here so that pieces on here. Now, to get this one over here, get your pressure on that one, hand over here at number 3. Don't let it slip and keep winding it on till at least it's in there a fair way. Come to these. Put your 8mm on. Back again. Now just start tightening it till it starts coming in and mating up to the other engine set. Okay, it's there now. Now, these don't have to be tightened, you don't want to snap them off. Okay, it's hit it. It's touched it. that's touched it. So bit of pressure, bit there, and just a little tighten. There, 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 and that should do it. You're not there to snap it, just tighten it. And that'll be good till test ride time. So that's out of the way. Next up, we'll tip that oil out and check how much is in there. Seeing the bike's only done 200 k's, I'll just pour the oil here. Mark it with a texter. So that's the level of, that's how much oil I've got to put back into the sump. And I know exactly how much was taken out, how much to put back in. And that should be right till the dealer now does the factory oil change at 500 kilometres, so all should be good till then. And the best thing about it, I've got rid of that rubbish that come out of it at the 200 kilometre mark, and it's all ready to go now for the next 300 kilometres. He can do the factory 500 kilometre oil change, and after that it should be good until the next major service by a dealer at 3,000 kilometres. And I'll probably do an oil change or two in between that thing there to make sure everything's clean and tidy in that line. So hope you enjoyed that part of it, and we might kick it over. Job's now complete, so we might as well kick it over. Starts good. Hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. We'll try something else a little bit different down the track next time. If you want to, don't forget to subscribe. I never mentioned any torque wrench settings for any of these things on the oil change, simply because I don't use any torque wrenches on any of this. I just tighten all nuts and that up, tighten all the bolts up by hand, and then just apply a little bit more pressure after that, which